the Biden administration's incoherent, and I will use that word again, the Biden administration's incoherent decision to withhold munitions from Israel as it is pursuing its war against Hamas continues to draw a lot of outrage from members of Congress. And by the way, this is all coming at a time when the IDF literally exchanged gunfire with Hamas fighters today in the city of Rafah. And the Israeli Air Force, by the way, bombarded Hamas rocket launching sites as well. So a lot is happening right now as we speak. And as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his war cabinet pivot to pursuing their war against Hamas with only conditional U.S. support, what can we expect in the coming days? Well, joining me to discuss this and more is Congressman Nathaniel Moran. He serves on 3 House committees, including the Foreign Affairs Committee and the Committee on Education and Workforce. He represents the 1st Congressional District of Texas. Congressman Moran, welcome back to the program. Great to see you.
Jody, great to be here with you on Washington Watch. Thank you for having me on this Friday.
Well, it's always our honor to have you for sure. Let's begin just with your reaction to President Biden's announcement this week.
Yeah, you use the word incoherent, and I think you're right. You can also say he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. He says he wants to be a good friend to Israel and that he's behind Israel 100%. And you heard his State Department spokesman say, we are committed to Israel's security. And the talk is there, but the talk is cheap because the walk does not follow. What we're seeing immediately after those words is actions to undercut our allies, actions to take back the very support that we just approved in Congress, and actions effectively when you talk about the analogy of having a fighter on the ropes, when you need to put them on the ground. And that's what we need to do with Hamas. We need to, now that we have them on the ropes, finish the job that was started with the Israeli IDF. And at that very moment, what we're asking Israel to do is to tie one hand behind their back and to not fight with all their might. And that's not what we need this time. We need to be supporting our ally, our very strongest ally, instead of undercutting them.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great word picture. We're calling on them to tie one hand behind their back and then say, go fight. Yeah, the comment that we played earlier, you just referenced it by the State Department spokesman. Essentially, it seems like he's saying that the U.S. will support Israel's defense, but not offense. I mean, is that somehow the way he's viewing U.S. commitment to Israel?
I think that's a great way to describe it. And really, you can go back to a sports analogy. In this case, if you're going to win the game, you have to play both offense and defense. And we have to have that strategy across the world against these growing totalitarian regimes that want to do the West harm, want to do us harm, and our allies like Israel. We can't simply confine ourselves and say, we're going to wait until you do us harm on our border. No, we've got to project strength outside and say, we are going to come after you and we are going to stop you before we get here. I told folks a couple of weeks ago, I'm all for the full court press defense. We want to press and provide defense before the enemy gets across midcourt, before they even have a chance to score against us. And then we want to play tough defense when they get here. But we want to start it on the other side of the court and play full court, full press defense.
Yeah, and we've got to have both here. The Biden administration seems to, like you said, be speaking out of both sides of their mouth. But they are really micromanaging, it looks to me, like what Israel can do. I want to play another remark here that the State Department spokesman also made here. Play clip 5 for me, please.
We continue, and I should say, we do continue to engage with them about other options that they can pursue. We have presented a full range of other policy choices that they can make that we think would achieve the goal of dismantling Hamas and choking off the Hamas battalions that remain in Rafah without further endangering civilians there.
Micromanaging? I mean, does anyone honestly think that the Biden administration knows better how to deal with this war than does Israel?
No, they absolutely do not. And we should not be telling our allies how to strategically go about their defense and their offense that they need to engage in, when I think maybe the objective of the Biden administration is much different than the objective of Israel. I think the objective of the Biden administration may be to cave to college radicals, maybe to cave to leftists in Michigan, maybe to cave to sympathetic individuals in the administration that want to promote an idea that maybe Iran needs to be supported in a way that we don't think should be supported. I think there's some Iran sympathizers in the Biden administration that need to be outed and gutted. We need to be standing strong with Israel right now instead of telling them how to go about their objective, and frankly, without redefining the objective, because in my mind, this is politically motivated by the Biden administration during this political year here domestically, pressured by things domestically to change what Israel is doing there on the front. And that should not be the case.
It certainly shouldn't. How shameful if that is the reality of what's going on, where our administration is trying to dictate the safety of another country because of political purposes here. I want to play one more clip for you here. This is Senator Lindsey Graham, what he had to say during a press conference yesterday. I'd like to get your reaction to this.
Israel's being asked to turn the war fighting over to the United States. Let us plan how to do this, not you. That is a huge mistake. Number one, I trust Israel more than I trust Austin.
Your thoughts?
Boy, don't you know it. We should trust Israel with its own defense. It has, and its own offense. It has so much more on the line in this battle with Hamas than we do. We are next in line if Hamas is not eradicated in this engagement. We know the last 4 stronghold battalions are there in Rafah. Israel has gone beyond where most countries that are engaged in a battle will do. They've said, hey, look, if you're a civilian, evacuate this area. We want to give you a heads up. I mean, who does that? Who tells the enemy where they're going to go and what they're going to do beforehand? But Israel's done that for humanitarian purposes. They've done a lot to make sure that civilians are out of harm's way. Hamas is the one putting them in harm's way. But the truth is, we know the stronghold of what remains in Hamas, a terrorist organization that committed unspeakable acts in October 7th and after. They need to be eradicated. Now is the time to do it. Now is the time to show strength instead of holding back our ally.
All right, just a few seconds left. I just want to have your answer to this. Do you believe the Biden administration double-crossed Congress on all of this, the money to Ukraine and Israel, and now they're not doing it? Was that double-crossing?
Well, I think they're certainly misusing this ability to provide arms as a tactic to get Israel to do what the administration wants it to do. And they have not acted in good faith, neither with Congress or with Israel. And they need to correct that
American people.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Congressman Nathaniel Moran. Always great to have you. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining us.